Friends, as Edgar Cayce, I've had the rare privilege of peering into the depths of countless souls, witnessing the true wellsprings of their being, and from this vantage, I observe a profound misunderstanding echoing through time, a widespread blindness to what it truly means to possess inherent worth, especially for the women who shape our world. Too often, value is mistakenly equated with outward show, with volume, with a need to be difficult or demanding to simply be seen. But I tell you, a much deeper, more radiant truth exists, a strength that whispers rather than shouts, a presence that commands respect without needing to manipulate or inflict guilt. This isn't just about fleeting confidence, it's about unlocking a destiny, fulfilling the deepest stirrings of your soul. If you've ever felt adrift, undervalued, or caught in patterns that diminish your light, then listen closely, for within these insights lies the path to becoming who you were always meant to be, a woman of such intrinsic value that the world naturally bows to her grace. Missing this understanding, I warn you, means missing the very essence of your awakened self. Many people mistakenly believe that being a woman of value means being loud, demanding, or hard to handle. They confuse worth with a need for constant attention or conflict. However, the truth is a woman of genuine value has no need to raise her voice, manipulate others, or use guilt to earn respect. She inherently understands that her value isn't something she has to loudly declare. Instead, her worth shows itself every single day through her choices, her unique energy, and simply by her very presence. It's an emanation, not a proclamation. This leads us to a crucial distinction you must grasp, the difference between a demand and a standard. A demand often sounds like, you should do this or else, attempting to control another person. It's usually driven by fear and a strong urge to force someone into compliance, creating a constant push and pull dynamic. A standard, on the other hand, comes from a place of clarity and self-worth, stating, "This is who I am, and this is what I accept in my life." It doesn't seek to control, but rather defines what fits within her personal universe. A woman of standards clearly articulates, "This is my energy, this is what I value, and if it doesn't align, I will leave, calmly and without drama." This quiet strength is precisely what separates those women who are perpetually exhausted and seeking validation from those who radiate genuine calm confidence from within. As the wise Carl Jung once observed, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This profound truth is perfectly embodied by a woman of value. She does not alter herself just to please a man, nor does she lower her standards just to hold on to someone. Instead, she lives authentically, understands herself deeply, and can clearly express her truth without fear of rejection. So, how does such a woman move through the world? When you encounter a woman of true quality, you immediately perceive her inner strength. She neither begs nor chases anyone, and she never feels the need to scream to make her point heard. She navigates life with a quiet, unwavering confidence that speaks volumes before she utters a single word. Imagine this scenario. She meets someone, and at first he is attentive, calls regularly, makes plans, and shows consistent interest. Then gradually his energy shifts, his replies slow, he becomes vague, and he withdraws. A woman who lacks standards might panic at this point, bombarding him with messages, asking, "What's wrong? Why aren't you calling?" She might begin chasing him, doubting her own worth, and sacrificing her personal boundaries in a desperate attempt to keep him. But a woman of value responds differently. She might calmly say, "Hey, I've noticed a change. If your interest is fading, that's perfectly fine. I simply value honesty and clear communication. I don't play guessing games." With that, she speaks her truth. No drama, no chasing, just absolute clarity. She doesn't attack or blame him, but offers him the chance to speak openly, while simultaneously making it abundantly clear that she will not accept vagueness or uncertainty. That, my friends, is true strength. That is genuine self-worth in action. Men feel this profound energy. Real men recognize and respect it, while those who are still boys often feel intimidated by it. Let me be clear, having standards does not equate to arrogance, being too much, or conceited. Having standards isn't about rejecting others, but fundamentally about protecting yourself, your peace, and your boundaries. A woman with standards communicates her needs and expectations with grace, never loudly or disrespectfully, but always firmly. She doesn't need to insult or belittle anyone. She simply states, "This truly matters to me. This is what I expect. If it doesn't fit, that's all right, but I will not diminish myself to make room for it." She maintains her authentic self without compromise. Carl Jung also said something deeply insightful. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. This profound awakening is precisely what standards represent. A woman who chooses to look inward, who truly recognizes her intrinsic worth, awakens to a different reality. She realizes she never needs to beg for love, fight for attention, or shrink her true self to be accepted by anyone. This awakening utterly transforms how she speaks, how she moves, and how she makes every decision in her life. Her energy speaks volumes even before she utters a single word. You know women like this. They walk into a room and don't have to say much, for their very presence speaks for itself. You feel it instantly. She isn't desperate, she doesn't overextend herself, and she certainly won't tolerate nonsense. She calmly waits to be met with genuine intention and respect. Let me tell you, if a man approaches her in a superficial way, he quickly realizes that this is not a woman with whom you can play games. A woman who truly values herself doesn't need to scream her worth. She simply lives it, and precisely because she lives it, her words carry immense weight. When she calmly states, "I value commitment, and I don't tolerate ghosting or constant indecision," she isn't attempting to intimidate a man. She is simply expressing her clear truth. When she says, "I want a genuine partnership, not a casual arrangement," she isn't being too much. She is being honest and authentic. Such women naturally inspire men to grow, not because they demand it, but because their authentic presence genuinely brings out the best in those around them. Yet be aware, this profound kind of self-confidence does not appear overnight. A woman of value wasn't simply born unstoppable. She has endured, she has learned, and she has profoundly grown. She has likely lived through periods where she stayed in situations far too long, gave far too much of herself, and received far too little in return. She understands intimately what it feels like to lose herself within a relationship, and she knows the deep pain of trying to save someone who wasn't even ready to be saved. Yet, instead of becoming bitter, she purposefully used those challenging experiences to grow stronger and wiser. She learned that genuine love does not mean sacrificing your inner peace. True compromise does not mean ignoring your own essential needs, and loyalty is not a badge of honor if it utterly destroys your spirit. Carl Jung once made a striking observation. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is exactly what often happens when women fail to establish clear standards for themselves. They find themselves trapped in recurring patterns, attracting the same types of men, experiencing the same painful situations, and mistakenly believing it's all just bad luck. However, the moment a woman awakens to her inherent worth and recognizes her power, she shatters these destructive cycles. She realizes she is not a pawn of fate, but rather holds significant control over her choices and the profound power of her words. Now, let's turn to the very essence of how a woman of value communicates. Her language is fundamentally different. She speaks not from a place of insecurity, but from a foundation of unshakable confidence. She would never say, "Why don't you love me? Why didn't you call? What did I do wrong?" Those are expressions of insecurity and fear. Instead, she articulates, "I've noticed a change. Honesty is deeply important to me. If you're no longer interested, that's acceptable. I respect it. However, I will not pursue someone who does not wish to remain in my life." Can you feel the profound difference in that approach? That is emotional maturity in action. That is self-worth manifest. The beautiful truth is that serious men who are genuinely ready and mature, profoundly respect and accept this approach. They value it, because a woman with standards not only elevates herself, but also naturally elevates the entire relationship to a higher level of authenticity and respect. This is the core truth you should always remember. A woman of value does not demand, she calmly sets standards. She doesn't scream, she radiates unwavering clarity. She doesn't chase, she effortlessly attracts. Her words don't stem from fear, they spring from profound trust in herself and life. Her energy doesn't beg for attention, it truly inspires. And why is this so incredibly powerful? Not because she is perfect, but because she has truly done the deep inner work. She has walked through pain and consciously chosen self-respect over despair. That profound choice is the foundation, the very starting point. Because once a woman deeply understands that her value is non-negotiable, absolutely everything transforms. How she interacts with men, which relationships she chooses to cultivate, and how she conducts herself in every aspect of her life. Believe me, the entire world feels that powerful difference. One more crucial point for a woman of value: a man is not her primary focus. She is. While this might sound shocking to some, especially in a world that constantly tells women their worth depends on being chosen, married, or in a relationship, the truth is liberating. A woman who truly values herself understands that no external relationship can truly thrive unless she has first cultivated deep respect, love, and trust within her own being. She is already whole, not incomplete or searching for someone to fill a void. The challenge for many lies in seeking love externally before learning to love themselves fully. They look for someone to complete them, to fill their emptiness, or to heal their wounds. But this very search creates dependence on another's attention, validation, and presence, which is the quickest way to lose oneself entirely. A woman of value is different. She arrives already complete. She knows deeply who she is and what she genuinely deserves. A man, for her, is a cherished bonus, an enhancement to her already rich life, not a bandage for her wounds. She isn't looking for a savior. She doesn't need a man to bestow identity upon her. She already possesses it within. Carl Jung wisely declared, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This attitude precisely defines a woman of value. Yes, she has undoubtedly experienced pain. Yes, she has navigated difficult times, but she absolutely refuses to allow those experiences to define her. Instead, she consciously chooses to become stronger, wiser, and clearer with each step she takes. Let me reveal one of her greatest strengths: profound inner peace. When a woman truly grasps her worth, she carries an unshakable peace within her heart. She is neither desperate nor frantic. She does not try to force anything to happen. She moves with an inherent patience, and this peace is an extraordinarily powerful force. A woman imbued with inner peace is truly unstoppable. She cannot be manipulated by sweet words because she meticulously observes actions. She is not swayed by expensive gifts or trips because her worth is simply not for sale. She doesn't crave constant external attention because she already radiates brilliantly from within. This is why a man instantly perceives this peace when he meets her. He immediately realizes he cannot play games with her. He knows he must approach her with genuine intention and integrity. And for the right kind of man, this isn't intimidating, it's deeply inspiring. Because a man of true value is irresistibly drawn to a woman who has masterfully cultivated her own inner peace. The confidence of a woman of value is never borrowed. It doesn't depend on how many likes she receives on social media, how many men call her beautiful, or how many people externally validate her. Her confidence emanates from a deep internal wellspring. She can gaze into her own mirror and smile, not because she perceives herself as flawless, but because she profoundly respects her own unique journey. She remembers every obstacle she has overcome, the nights she cried in silence, and still, with unwavering resolve, rose strong the very next day. She recognizes her scars, and rather than hiding them, she honors them as marks of her resilience and strength. This is precisely why her confidence is unshakable. It is real, utterly robust, and never for sale. When a woman truly begins to value herself, a remarkable shift occurs in the type of men she attracts. As her standards rise, the clowns, those merely interested in games, ego boosts, or the thrill of the chase, simply disappear. They no longer even appear on her radar because they instinctively know they cannot keep up with her authentic energy. And this is a profound gift, as she no longer wastes her precious time on situations or people that do not genuinely serve her highest good. Instead, she attracts men who perceive her strength as an invitation to growth, not a threat. These are men who understand that her confidence does not mean she lacks a need for love, but rather that she staunchly refuses to settle for anything less than true, profound love. One of the most potent realizations for a woman of value is this: being alone does not mean being lonely. Far too many women remain trapped in toxic relationships solely out of an intense fear of solitude. They tolerate disrespect and neglect rather than facing themselves and their inner world. However, a woman of value deeply understands that being alone is a profound gift. It offers vital space for immense personal growth, invaluable time for quiet reflection, and the precious opportunity to build a truly fulfilling life, whether with or without a partner. She would rather sit in serene peace at her own table than at a crowded table filled with chaos. She would rather spend a night in her own peaceful silence than in the arms of someone who does not genuinely honor her spirit, for she knows that self-respect is far more valuable and sustaining than fleeting, unfulfilling company. When a woman truly values herself, the way she establishes boundaries also undergoes a complete transformation. She ceases to over-explain herself, stops constantly overgiving, and stops apologizing for asserting a simple no. Instead, she sets clear, firm boundaries and steadfastly maintains them, entirely without guilt. She absolutely does not allow anyone to toy with her heart, merely out of a fear of potentially losing that person. She does not confuse unconditional love with limitless tolerance. Her boundaries are not impenetrable walls designed to keep love out. Rather, they are conscious, protective gates that safeguard her sacred inner peace. And here, the insight becomes deeply personal. How a woman communicates with herself is just as crucial as what she expresses to men. An insecure woman constantly doubts herself, thinking, "Am I good enough? Did I do something wrong? If I change myself, maybe he will love me more." Such self-defeating thoughts actively destroy her confidence. But a woman of value engages in a completely different internal dialogue. She tells herself, "I am enough exactly as I am. If he cannot see my worth, that is his limitation, not my fault. I do not need to beg for love. I am love." This powerful inner dialogue becomes her impenetrable shield, a constant reminder that her worth is truly non-negotiable. This is why her external energy also changes so profoundly. She doesn't enter relationships with a desperate need to be chosen, but rather with thoughtful questions. Does this truly fit me? Does this honor my spirit? Does this genuinely reflect the kind of life I want to build? Can you sense the fundamental difference? One energy desperately seeks external validation, the other steadfastly seeks genuine alignment. And believe me, men notice that distinction immediately. They instantly perceive whether a woman is desperate or firmly rooted in her authentic self. It is precisely this grounded, self-possessed energy that sparks true respect. Here is the very core, the unbreakable foundation of a woman of value: self-respect. She is already complete. She is not passively waiting for someone else to complete her. She consciously chooses profound inner peace over constant external pressure. Her confidence is undeniably real, never borrowed from external sources. She intimately knows that being alone is not at all the same as being lonely. Her boundaries serve to protect her precious peace, not to shield her fears, and her internal dialogue consistently builds her up instead of tearing her down. All of this makes her exceptionally strong, not because she is flawless or never faces struggles, but because she adamantly refuses to settle for anything less than the true, expansive love she genuinely deserves. When a woman genuinely values herself first, absolutely everything changes. The way she walks, the way she speaks, the choices she makes in every aspect of her life. Men who cannot genuinely handle that powerful energy simply disappear, but those who can instinctively step forward with genuine intent. That, my friends, is the profound power of self-respect. That is the very foundation of true intrinsic worth. Now let us delve even deeper. We have discussed the critical difference between demands and standards, and we have seen how self-respect forms the unshakable foundation of a woman of value. Now comes something absolutely crucial. She doesn't merely pay attention to words, she meticulously observes actions. This is because she has deeply understood one fundamental truth: words are often cheap. A man can say anything he pleases, that he loves you, that you are beautiful, send you lengthy messages, or whisper sweet promises in your ear. But words without accompanying action are ultimately empty. They may feel good for a fleeting moment, but they cannot sustain or build a real, enduring relationship. A woman of value is not easily swayed or blinded by mere charm alone. Grand, theatrical gestures fail to impress her if there is no genuine consistency behind them. She isn't deeply touched by a late-night "I miss you" if she hasn't heard from him all day long. Why? Because she has profoundly learned that consistency of effort is far stronger and more reliable than superficial charm. And genuine effort speaks louder than any excuse. She does not judge a man by the promises he makes, but by the tangible patterns he actually lives out. If a man states he is serious, that's fine, but then she carefully observes: does he genuinely call when he says he will? Does he consistently respect her time and her carefully made plans? Does he uphold her values and honor her boundaries even when life becomes stressful or complicated? The hard truth is, a man's consistent pattern of behavior is far more powerful and revealing than his carefully crafted excuses. And if his observable pattern doesn't change, then his promises, no matter how sweet, simply do not count in her estimation. Carl Jung once powerfully stated, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." This hits hard because it perfectly describes how a woman of value truly evaluates her relationships. She understands that anyone can speak like a king, but only a real man can consistently act like one. This is another profound distinction she grasps. Mere attention is not at all the same as genuine effort. A man can spend an entire day sending flirty messages and still demonstrate no real effort in building a connection. He can send emojis and compliments without ever truly investing real time, consistent attention, or sincere intention. That, she knows, is superficial energy, not true, committed effort. A woman of value never confuses the two. She is neither fooled by paltry breadcrumbs of attention, nor impressed by the bare minimum. She innately knows the difference between true intention and mere distraction, and she absolutely does not endlessly explain herself when she observes inconsistency. She doesn't beg, lecture, or write long manifestos to convince him of her worth. She might calmly state it once, clearly: I deeply value consistency, and I've noticed a change in your energy, period. There's no need for repetition, because she understands that a man who genuinely respects her will not require begging, and a man who does not respect her is simply not worth her invaluable effort. This is where many women often get stuck. They fall in love with potential. They envision what a man could be and construct an entire future based on that idealized image. But a woman of value does not succumb to this illusion. She does not gaze at potential. She firmly grounds herself in reality. She doesn't evaluate a man by what he promises for tomorrow, but by what he consistently demonstrates today. She understands that waiting for someone to become their best self is a risky gamble, and it is absolutely not her responsibility to raise or rehabilitate a man. Another significant difference she values is responsibility over excuses. What truly matters to her is how a man handles mistakes. She does not expect perfection. She understands that mistakes are an inherent part of life's chaotic dance. But the critical question is, does he take genuine responsibility for his actions? Does he learn from his errors, or does he consistently hide behind flimsy excuses and repeat the same patterns? In her discerning eyes, this is precisely what separates true men from boys. Not charm, not money, not superficial good looks, but profound, consistent character. One of her strongest traits is her ability for silent withdrawal, with absolutely no drama. When she observes a misalignment between words and actions, she does not create a scene. She feels no need to yell, confront, or manufacture drama. Instead, she calmly, intentionally pulls back her energy and quietly departs. No drama, no confusion, just unwavering standards. This is because she knows her precious inner peace is far more valuable than holding on to any form of chaos. A woman of value is not bitter. She is robustly built. She has been profoundly shaped by pain, by invaluable lessons, and by immense personal growth. Every past disappointment has served to make her stronger, and every red flag she once chose to ignore has made her infinitely wiser. That is why her love today is selective, her time exquisitely precious, and her energy absolutely sacred. She isn't hard to please. You simply cannot play games with her. Believe me, men feel that unmistakable truth. Real men understand they cannot win a woman of value with manipulation or games. They cannot lie their way into her life. They must show up genuinely, authentically, and consistently. And rather than feeling intimidated by her clearly defined standards, the right men are genuinely inspired by them. Because her boundaries serve as a respectful challenge, her standards implicitly remind a man of the best version of himself he can become, not through external pressure, but through profound internal inspiration. In conclusion, a woman of value meticulously observes patterns, not mere promises. She consistently prioritizes reliability over fleeting charm. She never confuses superficial attention with genuine effort. She builds her life on tangible reality, not speculative potential. She honors responsibility and accountability, not empty excuses. And when she discerns that words and actions do not align, she leaves calmly, without drama. Because she understands that in the final analysis, words may sound appealing, but actions unfailingly reveal the truth. And a woman of value always believes in the truth. Her communication emanates strength, and this distinct quality sets her even further apart. When a woman deeply knows her worth, her entire voice transforms. She doesn't speak from a place of fear or pervasive insecurity, but from absolute clarity and an unwavering inner strength. An insecure woman might utter phrases like, "Where are you? Why aren't you calling? Do you still love me? Am I enough?" These types of questions inevitably generate pressure, drama, and distance within a relationship. A woman of value, however, speaks with profound distinction. "I've noticed a shift in your behavior. If your interest has changed, that's completely acceptable to me. I simply value transparent clarity." Her words are calm, direct, and completely devoid of fear. She does not react impulsively, but chooses to respond consciously and thoughtfully. Instead of resorting to accusations like, "You never care about me," she calmly states, "I've felt a bit of distance between us lately. Let's discuss what's happening." That, my friends, is emotional maturity in action. A conscious response rather than an emotional reaction. She also sets her boundaries with elegant grace, saying, "I deeply value mutual respect. If yelling is your preferred method for handling conflict, I will respectfully step away. We can revisit this conversation when both of us are calm. No insults, no drama, just crystalline clarity. You truly feel it." She doesn't need to raise her voice because she raises her energy. She doesn't need to be loud to be truly heard. Her profound presence communicates effectively, even before she utters a single word. Carl Jung once wisely remarked, "The most terrifying thing is to accept your true self completely." This insight points to the precise secret of her powerful voice. She has completely accepted herself, her strengths, her weaknesses, her scars, and her intrinsic worth. That is why her words carry such immense weight and resonance. And this is where the genuine magic truly unfolds. Her communication inherently invites connection. She doesn't employ guilt, fear, or manipulative jealousy to retain a man. Instead, she utilizes unwavering honesty, profound respect, and deep maturity. And real awakened men hear that distinct message, they embrace it, and they respect her immeasurably for it. A woman of value does not manipulate, she communicates. She doesn't operate from fear, but from profound trust in herself. She doesn't need to raise her voice, she consciously raises her energy. She speaks from a place of deep confidence, not gnawing insecurity, from mature understanding, not impulsive reaction. She speaks with an undeniable grace, and her words, instead of merely making noise, consistently create authentic connection. That makes her unforgettable, that truly earns her respect, and that fundamentally sets her apart in a world where many men speak, but few genuinely convey something meaningful. We have now explored this profound journey step by step, the clear distinction between demands and standards, how an unshakable self-respect forms her very foundation, why she prioritizes actions above mere words, and how she communicates with crystal clarity and unwavering confidence. Now, let us bring all these interwoven threads together, her pervasive presence, her true purpose in life, and the specific kind of men she attracts when she authentically lives in her deepest worth. Because a woman of value doesn't merely live differently, she attracts differently as well. When a woman of value steps into a room, people immediately feel her presence, not because she is the loudest or attempts the hardest to gain attention, but because her energy is utterly unmistakable. She radiates self-respect, maintains an inner calm, and feels no need for external validation because she consistently validates herself from within. She does not seek attention because her focus is already precisely where it needs to be. This authentic energy is inherently magnetic. People are drawn to meet her, to be near her, and to feel safe in her grounded presence. Carl Jung once declared, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This woman has accomplished precisely that. She is her authentic self, with no diluted versions, no pretense, and no imitation. This radiant authenticity shines far brighter than any fleeting superficial perfection could ever hope to. Her life's purpose serves as her anchor. Her entire existence does not revolve solely around a man. She is not passively waiting for someone else to complete her. She is already completely whole. Her life possesses profound meaning that extends far beyond her relationship status, encompassing her unique goals, cherished dreams, and passionate interests. Whether building a career, nurturing her health, exploring her spirituality, creating art, or leading with vision, she constructs a fulfilling life consciously and intentionally. This deep sense of purpose is why she does not cling, does not settle for anything less than she deserves, and never chases anyone. Her life is already brimming with richness. A man is not her ultimate purpose. He is a valued partner who joins her in that magnificent purpose. Not every man can truly handle a woman of such caliber. Some find her intimidating, not because she is hard, but because she is profoundly clear, not because she is cold, but because she is deeply secure within herself. Boys often perceive her boundaries as outright rejection, while real men recognize them as a sign of deep self-respect. Boys may label her too much, but mature men find her profoundly inspiring. This is precisely why she wastes no time trying to convince the wrong individuals of her worth. Her powerful energy is simply not for everyone, and she is perfectly at peace with that truth. She is not here to please every single person, but to be deeply loved by the one who is truly right for her. The right man recognizes her immediately and authentically. He does not view her standards as impenetrable walls, but rather as an exciting invitation to grow and evolve. Her fierce independence poses no threat to him. Instead, he sees it as an inspiring strength. Her boundaries are not a form of rejection, but rather clear guidance for how to respectfully engage with her. He never plays games because he intrinsically knows that such tactics will simply not work with her. He feels no need to pretend or put on a facade because authenticity is her native language. Instead of retreating or running away, he steps forward with genuine intent. Instead of blocking, he actively aligns himself with her values. Instead of withdrawing, he consistently draws closer to her. Her powerful presence instinctively brings out the very best in him, and her standards gently remind him of his own inherent strength. And when such a woman chooses to love, it feels like an extraordinary blessing, not a heavy burden. Her love, my dear ones, is indeed rare. When a woman of value truly loves, she loves with immense depth and unwavering commitment. She is neither cold, distant, nor too independent to genuinely care. When she chooses you, she gives herself authentically and completely. She supports, she nurtures, she uplifts, and she becomes a profoundly safe harbor in an often noisy world. However, she no longer loves blindly or indiscriminately. She wisely pours nothing into empty cups and never wastes her precious love on those who do not genuinely appreciate her. Her love is both incredibly generous and simultaneously highly selective. She bestows it only where it has the true potential to flourish and grow. She does not control, she inspires. She does not constantly nag to change a man. She simply lives the values and intentions she means to embody. This authentic energy naturally uplifts others around her. Deep love does not mean clinging desperately at any cost. If she senses a fundamental lack of alignment or resonance, she lets go with grace, entirely without bitterness or any need for revenge. She fundamentally believes in the liberating power of letting go rather than clinging to resentment, for she understands that holding on to what no longer serves her simply blocks what is truly destined for her. When someone leaves her life, a sacred space naturally opens for something far better and more aligned to enter. That is why she never forces connections or relationships. What is genuinely destined for her will always find its way. What is not is free to depart. Her chosen circles are sacred to her. It's not just about romantic relationships. She is deeply conscious about every single person she allows into her life. She meticulously protects her precious energy, surrounding herself exclusively with individuals who inspire her, rather than those who drain her vitality. There is no drama, no gossip, no unnecessary chaos within her inner sanctuary. Her peace is far too precious to be disturbed by such things. She profoundly knows that whoever is granted access to her intimate circle will inevitably shape her own growth and trajectory. Small-mindedness and pettiness will never succeed in diminishing her. At her core, it is all about genuine impact. She doesn't merely exist or just survive. She consciously lives and creates a lasting legacy. She doesn't just go along with the tide, she thrives. She doesn't live solely for the transient moment, but for profound contribution, whether through her work, her family, her spiritual path, her art, or her leadership. She purposefully leaves something behind that is far greater and more enduring than herself. To sum it all up, a woman of value defines herself not by superficial demands, but by the high standards she consistently lives by, not by the fleeting attention she receives, but by the deep respect she naturally radiates. Not by whom she desperately holds on to, but by what she consciously chooses to no longer tolerate. Her presence is magnetic, her life's purpose is crystal clear, her love is powerfully transformative, and her unique energy is truly rare. That is why she does not chase, she attracts. She does not beg, she embodies her worth. She does not settle, she consciously chooses. And when the right partner finally arrives, he not only profoundly admires her, but feels a deep gratitude for her existence, for a woman like her does not cross one's path every single day. To every woman who hears these words, this profound strength, this captivating presence, this profound meaning, all of it is already inherent within you. You do not need to strive to become someone else. Instead, you merely need to consciously discover what has always resided there, patiently waiting within you. Lay down the heavy burden of insecurity, relinquish the grip of fear, release the shackles of self-doubt. What remains, when all those layers fall away, is the luminous version of you that was always meant to shine brilliantly. Let it awaken. The woman of value doesn't merely change relationships, she transforms lives, including her own.